Sims 4 update development list. There's a lot that has happened and is going to happen in The Sims 4. So The Sims 4 has multiple features and updates that are actively in development. 2022 has ended, we're heading into 2023, but 2022 had lots of memories, loads of updates, tons of pack releases, and a absolute slew of bug frustrations. The Sims 4 is become free for everyone to play the base game, with more ambitious plans down the line for the entire Sims franchise. There have been plenty of updates in the past year, which have either continued previous work or sparked upcoming expected updates. Right now we're going to focus specifically on big updates for The Sims 4 that we should expect more of sometime in the future, since there's years of content planned for this game. We don't know exactly what's going to happen, but it's going to be fun to find out. Since 2020, the Sims team switched things up with the way they start releasing content. We had the release of kits, the controversial release of kits in March of 2020, a bit of a different release schedule and quarter teasers, and no new stuff packs since 2020, which is a bit concerning. They seem to have gone away from stuff packs and towards the smaller kits, which I can kind of understand them doing from a business point of view, but the stuff packs were really nice. It's been almost 2 years since the Paranormal stuff pack was released, and that was such a good pack. Love Paranormal stuff. Some of the updates for The Sims 4 that they've updated the game with, but they're still developing, has been an NPC overhaul, scenarios, likes and dislikes, wants and fears, sexual orientation, and gender identity, and neighborhood stories. A lot of these features are still being actively worked on by Maxis. Some have potential to be continued, while the future is unknown for others, such as scenarios and neighborhood stories. Either way, this is what we're going to be going through is a list of features for The Sims 4 that are speculated to be continued with future development, some being officially confirmed by the Sims team. This is a huge list, so buckle up and get ready. Sexual orientation. In July 2022, The Sims 4 received a huge base game update that covered a lot of new features and improvements. Curved walls, wants and fears, body hair that grows, sexual orientation, and gender identity were just some of the highlights, pronouns, that is. Speaking of, sexual orientation and the pronouns was one of the most important updates in the Sims franchise history, allowing players to, for the first time in forever, pick an actual sexual orientation for their Sims, which is awesome. For those of you who don't always go into this, when you're creating your Sim, if you go into this bit here, where it's got the gender markers, and you click the ellipsis, a menu will open up, and it will allow you to click gender, and with that gender bit, you can choose whether your Sim is masculine or feminine framed, can have children, or can stand while peeing. And the sexual orientation tab here allows you to choose Sim is romantically attracted to men or women, whether they're exploring romantically, and who they're interested in woohooing with, either men or women. But yeah, you can tailor it however you want. They can be attracted to everyone or no one. It's seriously awesome. So in the official FAQ for the new feature, the developers shared that sexual orientation is considered a 1.0 version feature, meaning there are definitely plans to further improve and add new features for sexual orientation, which is pretty cool. A direct quote from the Maxis team says, "I want to acknowledge that these topics are complex and full of nuance. We consider this a version 1.0 and are absolutely looking forward to seeing what further tools we might add to allow players to tell a broader range of stories." So one of the questions regarding the sexual orientation update were gender limitations. The sexual orientation feature in The Sims 4 only allows players to choose men or women, for the romantic and woohoo attraction. However, the team stated they won't stop there, even if it means reworking some of the 8-year-old tech limitations of the game. A quote from the Sims team: Sims 4 is 8 years old at this point and reliant on systems that were originally architected with a gender binary in mind. In the intervening years, we've taken important steps such as gender customization, pronouns, and now sexual orientation. It's a journey still in progress, with many more steps to go. Proper mechanical systems to fully support non-binary Sims is another step in that journey. And I am so looking forward to that step. That is going to be seriously awesome. With that being said, hopefully we can expect more sexual orientation and gender features in the future. Soon. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. I cannot wait to see what the Sims team comes up with in new updates, especially regarding gender presentation and gender identity. The first iteration of likes and dislikes cast preferences was introduced back in May 2021. That's amazing. I did not know it was that long ago. With the release of the Sims 4 Dream Home Decorator game pack. The first version of likes and dislikes featured 3 categories, including music, color, and activity. The Dream Home Decorator game pack brought in the decor category, with the fashion preference arriving a year later with high school years. There's still a vast majority of areas that likes and dislikes could improve upon, from a limited list of activities to an entire category of attractiveness with other Sims, which is already taken care of by modders. Seriously, there's been so many mods that have added to the categories. It's jarring to see how many categories that mods have added. I absolutely love it. The only statement that we've gotten from the Sims team was back in July 2021 when they said that they want to add new music preferences and activities. Their quote is, "We saw a very positive reaction from the community when we added the new likes and dislikes in the base game, but we definitely don't want to stop there. We want to add new music preferences and activities as time allows." I would love to see the categories and the likes and dislikes expanded even more. Like, for example, under activity, there's no likes for reading, but there's your Sims can like to write. And I would also make it so that they could have more than 20 likes and dislikes, because I like more than 20 things. So my Sims should therefore like more than 20 things in my brain. We do have 2 expansion packs in 2023, so hopefully with those expansion packs coming out, they'll add more likes and dislikes into the game alongside those expansion packs. Next development, Neighborhood Stories, is one of the features for The Sims 4 that has had 2 major updates. The first version of Neighborhood Stories came out in 2021, with another major release that happened in March 2022. The first iteration unlocked story progression through interesting new text prompts from other Sims, allowing you to make decisions for your neighborhood and impact other households that you know. Such as, you might get you'll get a phone call from one of your Sims friends saying, there's a rumor that someone's going to get a promotion. Should I try to impress my boss to get it? And you can say, yeah, go for it, or you decide, or I don't think you're up for it. Most of the time, the message that comes up with me is trying to decide whether or not to have a baby. What do you think? That's like 90% of the messages that I get. A lot of room for improvement and additions for the Neighborhood Stories. So the second iteration of Neighborhood Stories unlocked new ways to set ground rules, giving you options for neighborhood customization for each household. The types of stories that you can pick that can happen outside of your infant feel a bit unfinished, though. There are 9 neighborhood story scenarios to choose from, with only 1 incorporating an aspect from a previously released expansion pack, which is Cats and Dogs, which, adopts cats and dogs. So it's unknown if the Sims team are going to continue with future development for this feature. I really hope that they do, because there is a lot that they could do with this. So, for example, there's more configurations that they could add. There's more questions that your Sims friends can ask. There's absolute loads of stuff that they can do. And I'm really, really hoping that they add more. One of the highly expected updates still to come for The Sims 4 is the Household'S Overhaul. Now, they've already overhauled one family, and that's the Goth's household. They've completely revamped the Goths to make them less whitewashed and just more polished generally. So the Sims team is actively working on the Household'S Overhaul. They recently announced that they're still working on it. So according to Sim Guru Frost, the development of Household'S Overhaul just recently passed a feedback session with community members. Considering there's more than just changes to visual appearances, it's expected that this update will also incorporate better lore and pre-made settings and starting qualities for each sim. The Household'S Overhaul update still doesn't have an ETA, though we know that they are working on it. There are updates for households from base game to cottage living, Hinford-on-Bagley, that need to be done, which is 7 years worth of original stories, lore, and visual appearances. Really excited for this. Love to see where they take it, and I just can't wait. There are rumors that they're currently the next household that they're going to release updates for is the Cayentes, and if that's the case, yeah, really looking forward to see what they do with them. Now, we've already touched on this with the sexual orientation update. The customizable pronouns was quite challenging for the Sims team to implement. Not because it's hard to make the game adjust to a new way of addressing and customizing pronouns in-game, but because it's difficult to localize and translate customizable pronouns for other languages that are not English. There's many logistics that need to be solved outside of the English language to ensure that custom pronouns are done correctly. This is one thing that the Sims team has been adamant about. They want to make sure that they've done it correctly. Even with the English version, there's a lot of things that need to be fixed. The first iteration of customizable pronouns for The Sims 4 is only available if you play in the game in the English language. As stated by the Sims team, this is only the first iteration of the feature that should be updated over time and released in other languages when this team progresses on the development. A direct quote from the Sims team: "The first update for customizable pronouns to be supported in English is a step in the direction of a more inclusive experience for Simmers, and we're excited to see how we'll be able to evolve the game and features over time to support more languages. While this update isn't the be-all end-all of representation of non-binary and other gender-diverse folks, we strongly feel that it's important for us to approach better inclusivity over time as we figure out ways to work within the limitations of our code." With that being said, features like pronouns, sexual orientation, and even stepping outside of the current binary gender options are all in development by Maxis. Can't wait to see what they come up with, and I'm really excited for it. The Sims team has added a lot of scenarios. These are challenges. It's one of the most popular updates for The Sims 4. In just more than a year, the Sims 4 Scenarios feature has gotten several updates and improvements, from upgrading rewards and gameplay mechanics to expanding the selection of scenarios. The initial version of Scenarios worked more or less like walkthrough tutorials of the game. Over time, this feature unlocked more ways to start scenarios, better and more challenging goals as well. The best thing, it seems that limited time scenarios are becoming less frequent. I think that the limited time scenarios were put in because, one, it was a new update to the game. It's a new mechanic. So the Sims team wanted people to constantly be checking it and looking at it and give them a reason to look at the scenarios page to kind of normalize it in people's minds. I love the scenarios. If you ever want a challenge in The Sims 4 and you're not sure what to do, check out the scenarios. Seriously, they're awesome. So there's no clear statement about the future of Sims 4 Scenarios after so many updates. They have said in the past that they want to add more scenarios, but they've done that, but they haven't said how many scenarios they want to add. Personally, I think that they should add like 2 or 3 scenarios per year. That's or 1 per quarter even. That's a nice even thing, and they've got the community to fall back on. There are loads of challenges out there that community members have made for The Sims 4 that the Sims team could put in a scenario. I'm really hoping that they get seasonal updates, regular updates for scenarios. That'd be really nice. The final update that we've seen in the past year is Wants and Fears. Compared to previous features, the Wants and Fears features for The Sims 4 really needs fine-tuning. Oh my god, does it need fine-tuning. There's so many things wrong with the Wants and Fears mechanic. The Wants and Fears mechanic took the place of the Whims. It was needed, it was a much-needed update, but it's broken. The fears, especially, are just really, really broken. Players are reporting that the fear of a dead-end job and some other ones are popping up way more than they should. For example, in my games, I'm finding that my Sims, even when they get a promotion and a pay rise, they immediately get the fear of a dead-end job. And I'm like, why do you have a fear of a dead-end job? You literally just got promoted. You know, there's no reason for it. Your Sims one person will die around your Sim, or they'll get a message that someone that they barely knew died, and they'll get a fear of death. And it's like, there is no reason for you to develop a fear of death because this person that you met once died, you know? Other than that, the announcement and release of the feature was met with high hopes and high critics. When the feature came out in July 2022 with the release of the high school years, it was expected that the feature would be more inclusive than what we actually got. Right now it's extremely bare bones, and it could really be more inclusive of different packs. The current system of Wants and Fears only includes a base game and high school years. It's not good enough. We need it to include all of the packs. Just right now, it just feels flat. It needs to be more varied, 100%. Everything's been skipped. Expansion, game and stuff packs, all of it isn't mentioned in Wants and Fears. So it's like, werewolves, for example. Your Sims cannot be afraid of werewolves. And you would think that that would be a thing. If your Sim saw a rampaging werewolf, and a werewolf came over and started destroying your Sim's home, your Sim would be scared to death of werewolves. But it's not a thing. And it needs to be a thing. Or if your Sim saw a werewolf IRL, for example, in the game, and the werewolf was really nice, you became really good friends with the werewolf, your Sim could have a want to learn more about werewolves, or even a want to be a werewolf. But there's none of that, which is very, very unfortunate for the game. Adding things from all of the different packs and expansions could really open up the Wants and Fears and storytelling and progression, and oh my god, I could go into it for hours, but I won't. It really, really needs an overhaul, or an update. Maxis has confirmed that the decision as to why it's so one-dimensional was made due to the time that they had developing the feature and expansion pack, aka corporate meddling. Executives said, we want this to be out by this date, and the Sims team was like, we really need more time to be able to incorporate more of the game, and the executives went, nope, denied. So they had to rush it. The team is only considering adding new Wants and Fears through future packs and updates, disregarding the catalog of 10 expansion packs, 12 game packs, and stuff packs where pack-specific Wants and Fears would certainly make sense in the game. This is sad. It's really, really sad that they've decided to do this. I am hoping that modders and custom content creators start messing around with the Wants and Fears and adding more Wants and Fears. Because if custom content creators do it, I'm grabbing those mods, 100%. So it is uncertain if Wants and Fears will ever get retroactive content related to previous Sims packs, post high school years. However, we should still expect more from them with future pack releases and updates. Fingers crossed that we do.